This March 10th, 2026, we will call this meeting to order. Roll call, Ms. Kimberly, please.
Mr. Jake Patrick,
Here.
Mr. Walter Boykin,
Here.
Mr. Neil Kessler,
Here.
Ms. Lindsay Smith,
Here.
Mr. Troy Smith.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you can, please stand for the invocation followed by the pledge. Mr. Boykin will lead us in the invocation.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together today. Please give us good foresight into making good decisions for this county and decisions that will make you proud. And just be with us. And that's about all I got. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next item is agenda approval. Consideration to approve the agenda. Staff, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
If no changes, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the minutes, consideration to approve the February 10th, 2026 minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Mr. Troy Smith was not present. All right. Public comments. Comments shall pertain to the agenda items only. Should you wish to make any remarks, clearly state your full name into the microphone before commencing to speak. We will give each side 15 minutes. And then also if we have any opposition, 15 minutes. And then the same for follow-up, we will allow about 5 minutes per side for follow-up comments. Also want to say, please be courteous and respectful to others. Please refrain from open comments and direct all comments at the podium to the chair. We got a lot of people here tonight. I'm sure it's a big item, so please be courteous. No open comments. Let's keep it professional. Correspondence, the agenda packet for this meeting is posted to the county website. Any additional documentation presented at the meetings shall be submitted to the clerk for receipt, recording, and distribution to the board. This meeting will be presented in front of the county commissioners on April 7th. So please be sure that you're at the follow-up meeting with the commissioners April 7th. Whether it's denied or approved, it still goes to the commissioners. New business, all items presented during this portion of the meeting were presented at a future board commissioners meeting as a public hearing. I don't think Trey's here yet. Have y'all seen Miss Kimberly? All right.
Trey's not here.
All right, we'll move into the public hearing number 1. Stanley Martin Homes, Anthony Rocco as agent for Brett Hughes, request to rezone plus or minus 552.55 acres from AR1 to R5 to allow for residential development in R5 located on Zitchire Road, 1st District, map number 374, parcel 18, 42, and 42A. Ms. Jennifer?
Yes, this item, you got this one? Sorry. This item is a request, the rezoning request of approximately 457 acres located along Zitchire Road corridor. The applicant is proposing a master plan residential development, and staff has reviewed the request in relation to the Effingham County zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, the infrastructure ability, and the environmental conditions present on site. So this evening, I'll briefly walk you through the location of the property, the proposed development concept, and the environmental considerations and staff recommendations. This item is a request to rezone approximately 457 acres identified as parcels 374-18, 374-42, and 374-42A from AR1 agricultural residential to R5 residential. The applicant, Stanley Martin Homes, is proposing the development of a master plan residential community consisting of approximately 1,300 homes. The location of the property is located along the Zitrower Road corridor in the general vicinity of Blue Jay Road and Midland Road. The property is currently zoned AR1 agricultural residential, which is intended to support agricultural uses and low-density residential development on larger rural tracts. The review of the zoning map indicates the surrounding properties are predominantly zoned AR1 and some nearby single-family residential subdivisions located within the general area. The surrounding development pattern is generally characterized by rural residential properties, larger wooded tracts, agricultural uses, and some established residential subdivisions. The future land use map indicates the accommodated rural residential development and transitional growth as infrastructure becomes available. Additionally, the future land use map identifies the development suburban node located adjacent to the subject parcel located near the intersection of Blue Jay Road and Midland Road. The development suburban node are areas where the comprehensive plan anticipates more concentrated residential growth and supported development, typically due to the proximity of transportation corridors and available infrastructure. The location of this node adjacent to the subject parcels indicate that the comprehensive plan anticipates future residential development activity within the general area as Effingham County continues to grow. The applicant has submitted a concept plan illustrating the proposed development. The concept plan indicates approximately 1,300 residential units. The proposed housing mix consists of 975 traditional single-family homes, 325 cottage-style homes. The development plan includes internal road networks, stormwater management facilities, preserved open space areas, recreational amenities, walking trails, and community features. The applicant has also indicated that a park will be dedicated to Effingham County as part of the development. The proposed development will be served by public water and sewer provided by Effingham County Utilities. The availability of public utilities supports the residential density proposed and aligned with the long-term infrastructure planning for the county. The property contains natural drainage corridors, wetlands, and floodland areas. The map shown illustrates the wetland areas and the FEMA floodplain located across the portion of the site. These areas are regulated by federal and state environmental agencies, and any impacts would require approval from agencies such as U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Georgia Environmental Protection Division. In many developments, these environmental sensitivity areas are preserved and incorporated into open space areas and stormwater management features. The applicant has also completed a hydrologic study and flooding modeling analyst, which indicate that the development will be designed to maintain a no-rise condition for flood elevation. A traffic study has been completed for the project. The study evaluated projected traffic volumes generated by the development and intended several roadway improvements intended to maintain safe traffic flow along nearby roads. These improvements include intersection improvements and additional turning lanes at key road intersections, which will be coordinated with Effingham County and GDOT where applicable. The property is located within the Marlowe Elementary School attendance zone. The Effingham County School District has also constructed Creekside Elementary School, which is scheduled to be open fall of 2026 and will provide additional capacity to serve continued residential growth in this portion of the county. If the rezoning is approved, the project will be required to comply with applicable county regulations during the development process. This includes subdivision approval, engineering and infrastructure review, stormwater management requirements, environmental permitting where applicable, in addition to the land disturbance activity permit and tree removal permit would be required prior to any land clearing activity. Staff reviewed the rezoning requests based on the Effingham County zoning ordinance, surrounding land use patterns, infrastructure ability, environmental considerations, the policies outlined in the Effingham County Comprehensive Plan. Based on the subject's proximity to the development suburban node, the availability of public water and sewer infrastructure, and the proposed master plan residential development pattern, staff finds that the request demonstrates general consistency with the long-term growth framework outlined in the comprehensive plan. Based on this review, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request from AR1 to R5, subject to the following conditions. Development of the property shall be generally consistent with the concept plans submitted with the rezoning application. All wetlands and floodland areas shall comply with applicable federal, state, and local environmental regulations, including permitting where required. Roadway improvements identified in the traffic impact study shall be coordinated with Effingham County and Georgia Department of Transportation where applicable. A land disturbance activity permit and a tree removal permit shall be required prior to any land clearing activity. The park area shall be dedicated to Effingham County as indicated on the concept plan, subject to county approval. And all subdivision plats and development plans shall comply with Effingham County and development regulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything from the board before we open up the public hearing?
Just one can you refresh, what are setbacks in R5?
I'm going to pass that over to Ms. Kimberly.
Setback, front yard is 10 feet. Rear yard is 25, sides are 6 feet.
6?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll set the clock at 15 minutes, and anyone in favor, please come forward and state your name.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. For the record, Josh Yellen representing Stanley Martin Homes. Do want to say that we do have the applicant with us tonight. We have Matt and Anthony with us from Stanley Martin Homes. We have the current property owner, Mr. Hughes, with us. We also have CJ Chance from Hussey Gay Bell, who is doing civil engineering. So we're all kind of trying to stay in our lanes here, answer questions where appropriate, but between all of us that we have, we are happy to answer the questions that you may have and that the public may have about this project. I do want to thank staff for the recommendation. I know that when I printed this out last night, including the DRI report, we were at 110, 105 pages. So it was a very thorough report, and I appreciate all the hard work that has gone into this. I do want to echo some of the points that were made from the staff report because they are very important when we are looking at this petition for rezoning, which is a rezoning to the R5 district. This site is very large. We have approximately 452 acres, and we are specifically targeting the R5 zoning district because it is one of the new revamped districts in the county that is specifically looking at projects exactly of this type. And this R5 district represents a balanced trade-off in Effingham County. It allows for increased residential density in exchange for thoughtfully designed and accessible open space, and ensures that growth can be compact yet livable while also being community-oriented. And the intent of this district, as stated in the actual ordinance text, is to, quote, promote compact, higher-density residential development that reflects the principles of traditional neighborhood design. This district encourages walkable, interconnected communities, smaller lot sizes, and pedestrian-oriented streetscapes. The R5 district is designed to accommodate single-family detached dwellings in a pattern that fosters a strong sense of community and efficient land use. Key features may include reduced setbacks, alley access, front porches, integrated open spaces, contributing to neighborhood character and livability. The district supports the long-term planning goals related to housing diversity, affordability, and sustainable growth by offering an alternative to conventional suburban development patterns while still preserving the identity of single-family neighborhoods in a higher density format. These are not my words. These are the words from the actual ordinance text, and it's part of the reason why this ordinance was adopted, to encourage growth exactly like what you are seeing on the screen. Stanley Martin has met the goals, intents, and requirements of the ordinance. From the R5 standards, I know the question was just asked about setbacks. Those standards are met on the proposed plan. In addition, the applicant is proposing that over 33% of the site, about 153 acres, is preserved as open space and wooded areas. What's required under the ordinance is currently 25% with the revamped standards that have come out. We are currently at 33%. In addition to that number, there is the 15.8 acre park fronting on Midland Road that will also be donated to the county to enhance the county's recreational facilities. Within the development, as you can see on the plan, and obviously more work will be done as this proceeds through the process, there is an amenity complex, there are numerous pocket parks that are shown, and there's a comprehensive walking trail system. All of these are in line with the goals of the R5 district and the goals of the county. While this project will have significant internal amenities that will benefit the residents of this community, its location, as was mentioned by staff, was also carefully selected to be in line with the county's plans. From the Effingham County Comprehensive Plan, it was noted that this property is located less than a mile from the intersection from Blue Jay and Midland. And this area, and thank you for showing that slide, has been specifically targeted because it is considered a suburban node within the county. And so when the county redid their comprehensive plan, they looked at key areas that were specifically targeted for growth within the county. This node documents that this area was targeted for this improvement. And from the comprehensive plan, these nodes were defined as areas designated for concentrated growth, development, and investment. They serve as a focal point for economic activity, infrastructure development, and urban expansion. The nodes have been strategically chosen based on factors such as accessibility, connectivity, availability of services, and potential for sustainable growth to create vibrant and resilient communities. Here, once again, we selected this site due to the proximity to this growth node. We are located on two main roads within the county with frontage on both Midland and Zitrower, with access to be provided to both sites. This was a good site to target for this R5 development. Additionally, in line with the comprehensive plan, the site will be served, and this is important, by public water and sewer, moving development away from rural septic into a public system to be integrated with the county's plans for the area. While the site meets the requirements of the R5 and it meets the recommendations under the comprehensive plan for where growth should be targeted, it was also mentioned in the staff report and presented today that this also meets the requirements for rezoning in the county. It's consistent with the master plan. It will not overload public facilities. It will not force traffic through minor streets with the carefully selected infrastructure improvements and access points that have been shown. Is there reasonable use under the current zoning? No, there is not. With the AR1 zoning that's currently in place, this land has long been utilized for silviculture activities. We will have the property owner speak today about the change in use and change in conditions for this site. But this rezoning to R5, it was not something that we jumped into. It was something that has been in the works for a while. It's something that's necessary to make proper use for this site and for this area. And because we are meeting the requirements of the R5 zoning, we are in line with the goals of the comprehensive plan. As recommended by staff, we are respectfully asking for your support today for this rezoning, but I'm also happy to turn this over to CJ, the Stanley Martin team, and to Mr. Hughes to answer questions that you all may have. I know CJ might want to speak about some of the more design details, but thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for the chance to speak with you this evening. I've served on a planning committee.
Present your name, please.
Brett Hughes,
Mr. Hughes, thank you.
current owner. I've served on a county planning commission and a board of zoning appeals, so I know that you fellas are well paid to decide on non-controversial issues such as this. My father was born in Guyton, and my grandmother was a Kessler, one of the Salzburger families of Ebenezer. I've always been proud of my family heritage in Effingham and tried to honor it by maintaining connection to the family land, which the property we're discussing has been in my family line now for at least 6 generations. Generally, I'm not a big fan of change, but change has finally caught up with me. I've always intended to grow timber on the property and pass it along to my children as, as was, excuse me, as was done for me. I've worked over 40 years in the timber industry as a forester and the last 10 years as a logger also. And it may or may not surprise you, but this industry is in serious decline. The 2 sawmills where I sold most of my saw logs have closed, Meldrum and Estill. And 2 of the 3 paper mills I sold pulpwood to have closed. All this closure has resulted in a landowner's timber revenue being reduced to 40% of what it was 20 years ago. Then you factor in inflation over those 20 years and you see where you're at. The anemic timber revenue is not the only challenge faced by a forest landowner, particularly in this area. A large undeveloped property in proximity to development is a magnet for trespassing and various kinds of encroachment. I'll share some instances of these. Several wildfires have burned on the property from carelessness. Thankfully, not much damage was done. And every 4th of July, I hope for rain because I've been over on the property in 7, 8-year-old pines and seen spent fireworks casings, you know, after the holiday. Prescribed burning is impossible because of the nearby closeness of houses. I've gotten numerous reports of 4-wheelers and side-by-sides running on the property. Deer hunters have even gotten pictures of what look like seasonal workers on deer cameras out there walking across the property. Yard debris has been deposited on my property from across the road. One contractor even cleaned out a load of concrete in my fire line, emptying out his truck. I even witnessed a man digging wheelbarrow loads of dirt and pushing that back across the road to his property from mine. All these are enough to get your blood pressure up, but what really is unnerving is that within the last couple of years, 3 different real estate brokers have called me trying to verify my identity. Someone representing themselves as me has tried to get them to list my property for sale. All these circumstances have converged to force me to come to my decision to sell the property. It was a hard decision, but it wasn't difficult. My daddy or grandmama could have sold the property at any time and made their lives easier. So I owe it to them to receive the value of this property and pass it along to my children and grandchildren. You know, people are moving into this coastal plain of Georgia and South Carolina, okay? And in this life, God has created only so much land. So I think that it should be used efficiently. I think it's good stewardship to use the land as efficiently as possible so that land further out doesn't have to be developed and you can use it more efficiently, you know, where it's happening. You have the power to uphold an individual's property rights or not. But I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. I think we got about 4 minutes remaining. We'll extend it a little bit on both sides, and I'm sure we're going to have plenty to speak.
I'll keep it short, Mr. Chairman. My name is C.J. Chance with Hesse Bell, also here representing Stanley Martin Homes, also by default representing the seller in the petition request. One thing I wanted to hit on was the work that has gone into this project up to this point. The buyer has been working with the seller for quite a time. There's a lot of studies that have been done on the property. The property currently has a jurisdictional determination to determine where the Corps of Engineers determines that all the wetlands that need to be protected are. As of now, we have no plans of impacting any jurisdictional wetlands. So we're not planning on even filing a nationwide permit at this point. Secondly, there's been a traffic study, a comprehensive traffic study done. This looked up and down Highway 17 down to State Route 30, Noah Conaway. It went from Midland Road west and a little bit on Blue Jay. There were 5, I believe, intersections that said that there needed to be improvements made. We believe that 2 of those improvements are already in the works with the county. One of them is an entrance to the development. and the other two are things that we will work out. So, water and sewer, we have had multiple conversations with the county staff on water and sewer. There is a plan to get sewer to the plant. Currently, there's a project underway going down Blue Jay Road up to Low Ground Road to take sewer to the existing plant, which will also be served by the new expanded plant in the future. Water will be connected to the site from Midland Road. It will also run along Zittrier Road and be looped throughout the system. Floodplains. There are significant floodplains that are in and around different parts of Effingham County. They do affect the site. Currently, there is being reviewed a LOMAR letter of map revision into FEMA. What that study does is shows that once this development is done and certain contours are obtained, there will be no rise either upstream or downstream from the impacts of the development that happens here. That is under review, and honestly, we can't proceed to the design phase until that gets approved. I would also like to point out that when the buyer came to us and wanted to lay a concept out, typically we have buyers come in and say, "Get me as many lots as you can," and that's not what this buyer did. This buyer said, "We want to make a neighborhood that Effingham County can be proud of." You don't see many of them who come in here, and well, you got it up on the screen right now. There's a lot of green space there that could be utilized that's not utilized, and that's intentional. They wanted to create sub neighborhoods within a neighborhood, so you have different closeness that can be felt throughout the neighborhood. The importance of donating the land to the county, that was a huge thing for this developer. He wanted to be a place where people could go, but where his people could also go to the park. And so by donating that land and working with the county on putting in new park resources was vitally important to them. Lastly, what I'll say is the minimum requirements for buffers around a project like this are 50 feet. You can see along Zittrier Road that it ranges anywhere from 200 feet to 600 feet in distance. A lot of these places that you'll ride along Zittrier Road, you will see trees just as you do now. It'll be 600 feet along most of those. The north side of the property is where the power line is. Gas lines are in that. There's also going to be the new water main that comes from the new Effingham water treatment plant to go out across the river. So in the worst case, you have a 50-foot buffer.
That's time. We'll add about 5 more minutes to it, Ms. Kimberly.
In almost any case, there is more than that 50-foot buffer, and that's really all I had. So we will allow time for the opposition, and then we'll also offer responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chance. Anyone else in favor? Got about 5 minutes remaining. All right, being there are none, anyone in opposition, please come forward and speak your name.
Hey, good evening. I'm Michael Woods. I own 700 Zittrier Road. Looking at the map on the screen, I'm one of those poor souls that's going to be stuck to the 50-foot buffer. I think we should know what the buffer rules will consist of, what there's going to be the rules for underbrushing. Is this going to be natural left as it is? Is this going to be something that's going to be planted? What's the buffer going to consist of? Because again, based on the map, my property will be one of the main sufferers of the narrowest buffer. Also, with the D.R. Horton resident or subdivision that's being built now at the end of Zittrier, closer to Highway 30, I don't know if that's been taken into the traffic consideration, the school consideration, and the impact on our fellow residents on Zittrier Road. Between two major developments going on at the same time, that impact needs to be multiplied to ensure that we're considering all the options. The new Creekside Elementary School will not in any way relieve the middle and high schools. Okay, yes, we're building middle schools, but what are we going to do with them? Or we're building elementary schools, what are we going to do with the high schools and the middle schoolers? They got to have somewhere to go and leave elementary school. The CRC, the Coastal Regional Commission, reported a 1,267 trip car count during peak hours. The four-way intersection at Blue Jay and Midland are extremely congested right now during peak hours, which will include morning traffic, afternoon traffic, and school getting out. That is also going to include Midland. We're going to have a roundabout there. That's great. The single lane turning lanes that are proposed in this will not relieve the traffic from 1,267 additional trips during peak hours in a rural area. There's also in the CRC report, there's a comment of water quality within our area right now. So future plans are not going to fix that today. We already got another development going on right now at Zitrow Road. You got a development going on Highway 30 at Colic-Helmy. There's been land cleared east of Zitrow Road today. We don't know what that's going to be yet, but given today's times and growth, there's probably going to be another development. So again, this one development is not the only consideration. We have to consider all the developments in the area going on at one time. I don't believe the road infrastructure is going to support it. Also, considering storm drainage floodplains, I had to build my house 40 inches up to stay in code with the floodplain. When you build 1,300 homes, that water has to go somewhere. When the ponds rise and they overflow, it has to go somewhere. Where's it going to go? Can anybody provide our residents with a 100% guarantee you're not going to flood us out? Also, 1,300 homes 6 feet apart is going to dramatically reduce the value of our homes. Most people in this area are in a low-density environment, custom homes of great value. You bring in houses 6 feet away from each other, 1,300 stacked into a piece of property, that's going to decrease the value of our homes. And Brett made a great point, you know, God's not making any more land. So we should make the right decision. Are we doing the best with the land we have? Because we're not getting any more. And at some point, we have to make sure we're ensuring the right decisions, A, for the county, B, for the people that are already in this county, the taxpayers. We pay some of the highest taxes in the area. So these decisions need to be made properly for those that are already here. And the infrastructure today is not going to withstand this type of growth. We're outgrowing what we have. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods.
Hey,
Hello.
I'm April Ralph and my husband Les Ralph, and we were actually neighbors with Brett and are the Karens that call when the ATVs are running back there and everything else to them. Look, we understand that growth happens. We're not mad at Mr. Hughes for selling the land, but we have a couple concerns that we just want to get rid of and talk about. One is where our house is, if you got Blue Jay and Zitrower, we're right in the middle on a dirt road coming down. So we're in the middle of the woods that he's selling, and there's just a few of us back there. You can see it. So on his proposed map, one of the things that we are going to ask for is on the entry, if you're looking at doing an entry off of Midland, it's got to be between our driveway and Zitrower. Something to just point out that there's been multiple accidents the 6 years we've been there at our easement because people don't see it. In fact, a kid was almost killed, one of our neighbors, when they wrecked into a school bus. So if there is an entry that's going to be on there, we hope that there's some kind of additional signage and, you know, whatever else needs to be there to make that illuminated to kind of stop some of those car accidents. We still have small kids that are back in our area. One of the other things is since we've been there, we found this before the pandemic, is they've rezoned and it looks like it's getting a lot more wet. We've got quite a bit of stuff going on in that area. We had a shallow well put in to do 40+ citrus trees. And when we put that in, the guy who does the shallow well said we had 38 gallons per minute. It was McLean Wells, who's been doing it 30+ years. And he laughed. He goes, it's probably one of the most producing shallow wells I've ever seen in that 30 years. He said you could probably irrigate all 40 acres of you and your neighbors back there off your one shallow well. We planted a whole bunch of oak trees. They're dying. Our front yard's being overflowed by that canal. There's a 3 mile long canal. I think it's backing up, and flooding our area. We're getting major flooding area back there, right there in the center of this market. And then we got concerns that when you cut down all the trees that we're looking at cutting down and growing, you know, where's that water gonna go and how's it gonna impact us? And just wanna make sure there's really good mitigation, and drainage, as well as some maybe kind of lot coverage. We've seen quite a bit. We're in construction ourselves, and there's a lot of houses that we're seeing being developed. We build pools, so we hit groundwater when we do it, but there's a lot of issues with these houses being thrown up with no space in between them with the neighbors, and there's so much coverage that there's no drainage on those properties. They're flooding, and we just want to make sure that they're not flooding and then flooding the neighborhood out, but also flooding us out with our property. I guess privacy-wise, they look like they've done a great job trying to leave some land in there for some privacy. Wish it was a little bit more back on where we live. They've got on the Zitrower side, but not on that little community that we're in. That's kind of right there in the middle on the back side of our property. I think he said that they were gonna do about 100 feet of buffer, which is kind of nice, but you can see that that looks like the road that comes in off of Midland is gonna back up to us. Mainly, it's just more kind of flooding and mitigation and privacy, as well as, you know, signage off of the Midland, trying to keep people safe on that end. But I think there's some other neighbors that want to talk. I just wanted to throw out our opinions on it.
Thank you, ma'am. Please state your name.
Michael Leddick. I live on Zitrower Road. So we started a petition. I don't know if you all seen it floating around the Facebook, but it's, Save Zitrower. We have over 200 signatures on that petition. I'd be happy to give that to you. A couple of things I just want to talk about, talking with some of the other families, going up and down the street, making sure everybody knows about what's going on, passing out flyers. There was a lot of concerns, a lot of people approaching me with different questions. But the one thing I want to point out is just some of the words that were used on this board. First off, fellas, and you, Ms. Smith, welcome. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. I should have started off with that. But on January 13th, Mr. Kessler, you denied that build on Blue Jay, citing a couple things. Wetland concerns, potential flooding, traffic flow, among other things. You recommended disapproval, correct?
On Blue Jay?
I believe it was on Blue Jay. I may be wrong. No, but I'm pretty sure it's Blue Jay area. McCall?
Probably McCall.
Okay, yeah, my apologies.
If you could, please present, and then we'll come back to follow up on questions.
Okay. So some of the questions, or some of the board members' concerns were, Mr. Boykin, possible flooding. Mr. Kessler, truck route, increase of children in schools. Ms. Smith stated that there were no longer housing shortages. And today, there's over 350 houses available. And that includes some of the new builds that's going on. As was mentioned earlier, down at the end of Zitrower, as you go on 30 there, right before you get to the Bez Jones, there's some more housing going up. Even on Midland, that planning process, that hasn't been mentioned yet. And so that hasn't been looked at with this traffic study that they've done. So there's a whole lot more that comes into this. It's not just that. The green space that they're leaving, 100%, I ain't gonna say 100%, but my thought is they have to have the water go somewhere. And so by leaving the green space there, they're not doing any favors, they're actually trying to help themselves out. That's my thought process. The water is gonna go somewhere. I agree with the young lady's concern when she was talking about, that's called the golf course is where they live, if you don't know what it's called. But the water's gonna go somewhere. Where's it gonna go? There's already flooding that happens on Zitrower, to include my property. The front yard, not so much the back, but the front. So the water has to go somewhere. That's my biggest thing. The studies also show that the drinking water, as was mentioned earlier, the public sewer, public water that's coming in there, they're gonna take it out to Midland, but then the taxpayers are gonna have to pay for that to come to Midland, to connect. What is that cost going to be? That's a question that I have on the other side. Traffic, as was mentioned before, we're not considering the projects that's going on Midland. We're not considering the projects that's going on 30 and Collick-Helmley, back there where they're building all the houses. Right now, travel time trying to get from Courthouse or even Blue Jay, Zitrower to 95, you're looking in rush hour traffic in the morning, anywhere between 20 and 25 minutes. Coming home, when you have school buses on the road, that's even worse, at those key intersections that were mentioned. The water, that's just, I think that's something that's non-negotiable. And until we have a infrastructure that's built, whether it be roads, whether it be water, whether it be schools, Dr. Ford, needs to come and say, hey, look, we can support this many students. Until we have all that, let's just, don't put the cart before the horse. Let's just calm down. I understand people want to sell the property, but let's give them, a little break, if it's taxes or whatever the case may be, let's give them a break, just a little bit. So until we as the county get everything right, and that's my concern. What you don't want to do is throw 1,300 houses in there and haven't fixed anything yet like we have before. Let's get everything fixed, let's get everything running right, and then we can come back and look at this. That's my recommendation. So, but right now on the, in the Effingham County Transportation Master Plan update, there is currently 2,165 houses that are planned. I'll say it again, 2,165 domicile units that are in the planning phase already. We're adding another we want to add another 1,300. I don't think that's acceptable. As mentioned before, the price of housing, make it affordable. We were told that at the end of Zitrower. We were told that on Midland. My daughter, who's here, is a first-year teacher well, not a first-year teacher, but she's a teacher at South Effingham High School. And we were told by the board, not y'all, but by the board, that these houses need to be affordable for a first-year teacher out of college to come here and buy a house so we can get the best of the best to teach our students. I agree. $316,000 for a 1,400 square foot home. $316,000 for a 1,400 square foot home. The lot size that's listed is in feet, not acres, because of how small it is. I ask that the board really looks at this and considers it to recommend disapproval. I understand, Mr. Chairman, it has to go to the county commissioners. I plan on meeting with Mr. Floyd, Mr. Burgett, and them as well and public. I don't want to do anything behind closed doors. Everything is going to be public, so we can sit down and talk with them to ensure that we're doing the right thing for our constituents. Thank you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right, so we're at the end of 15, but we'll go ahead and add you 5 more minutes to it.
Hi, my name is Destiny Pardon. As mentioned, that is my father. I'm coming here to give a school perspective. I am a 4th-year teacher at South High. I am also a county bus driver, so I see both sides of the traffic in the schools. I don't know if any of you have students in the south side of the county. South High was not built to even hold the students that we currently have now. My class size is capped at almost 32 students. I teach high school math. If you guys are familiar with a high school math class, teaching 32 students of just me is hard, okay? If we add the Collick-Helmley development, this development, and then we add whatever other developments are already in the works in that side of the county, we are going to overflow. We have no plans for a 3rd high school. So Creekside was mentioned. The rezoning for Creekside has already been approved by the Effingham County Board of Education. Their development is not included in those plans. So all those students, they're going to be districted for Marlowe, not Creekside. So while they do alleviate some pressure from Marlowe Elementary, this development right at the end of Zitrower, right at the end of Conaway Road, they're all going to go there. Our education system is something that I went to our education system. I'm sure you guys maybe did too. It is something that this county has always excelled at. We've always excelled in education. These developments are going to make it go down. From the bus driver perspective of it, A updated route sheet was sent to my coworker today of 70 high school students on one bus. One singular bus of high school students sitting 3 to a seat because they have no drivers. We have nobody to take our kids home, nobody to get them to school, and nobody applying. So if we put in all these developments, every bus is riding 70 kids to a bus. And I don't know if anybody here, myself included, would feel comfortable putting my kid on a 70-kid bus. But we have to get them to school. We keep putting these developments in, they're not going to get to school. And if, Mr. Hughes talked about the importance of his children, what about all of the other children in the county? What respect do we have to them and to our future? Because one day they're going to be you. They're going to be us. And if we don't provide the proper resources for their education, there won't be any public discourse, any reputable humans to sit in front of me, nothing. So that's my thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. I'll be brief. My name is Jeff Kilgore. I'm a resident of Herbert Kessler. Quickly, I didn't see on the flood map or the wetlands map, I think Ms. Ledick referred to as in the canal, the 3-mile canal. It's called Eli Whitney Watershed. You don't see it on the maps. If you go to the GIS, you'll no longer see it because of the growth. It was built in 1973 and 74. When I was working with the county back in 2010, 2012, NRCS and Corps of Engineers, county made a statement, came from Mr. Kessler on a letter about the Corps and the USDA not being able to locate as-built drawings. So for your record, through the FOIA, I have a copy. I gave recently a copy to your county engineer, Jonathan Holmley, who has a copy of those. My concern is, and like I said, I live on Herbert Kessler Road, that ditch, that canal is probably every bit of 3 miles. It's huge. So it's adjacent to the property that's in question being rezoned. It cuts through the south end of the property in question, and it crosses the Trout Road. So that watershed is going to have to be addressed because as it is now, it has no flow. So just be aware of that. It is something, if this is approved, I'm going to have further discussions with the Corps of Engineers on the property because the ditch does not drain at all now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have 1 minute remaining.
I promise I'll be real quick. My name is Bridget Rasmussen. My husband and I closed on our house 2 days after Hurricane Debbie came through. We're lucky. We live on the north side of Midland in the Brookfield subdivision, which is really nice because our homes didn't flood. I will say that 2 days before closing on my home, I was sticking my head over the fence because the water was 6 inches from our back door. As we drove through, we were brand new to the area. We drove through the area, all of the drainage ditches, everything, the water was up to the street line. We had another hurricane about a month and a half after that. We got lucky this year. To be quite honest, I have a master's degree in ocean engineering and coastal flood management. We got lucky. This site plan, it's a beautifully designed neighborhood. I will give you absolutely no grief on that. It's a beautifully designed neighborhood. However, the main entrance line and all of that goes over that canal, the rivers, right through that watershed. And I think in that aspect, it's a danger for the floodplain area, especially for the surrounding neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will close the public hearing. Mr. Chance, would you like to address any of the concerns and?
Yeah, I think I'll speak on behalf of the Stanley Martin team. I like to address it by comments. I try to keep notes so that I can keep up with everything that everyone had. I think Michael Woods was the first one to speak. What does the buffer consist of? The county does have requirements of what the buffer must be. I can tell you the intent is for it to be naturally vegetated, undisturbed essentially is what it would be. Yes, the minimum is 50 feet, so that's all that has to be maintained according to the ordinance. However, on most of the property, there is more that is provided. Water quality issues were mentioned by a couple of people, and I think when water quality is said, it's probably referring to both stormwater and drinking water. So two different issues. On the drinking water side, the county, as of last week, actually started a process to construct a new $120 million facility, all money funded by the state. This is not money by taxpayers. That will provide drinking water to all of Effingham County and others. So that was approved in a meeting last week. That will provide also backup water to what is currently coming from the city of Savannah, which people are drinking today. So there's additional water that is coming, approved by the state, approved by EPA. Mr. Woods also mentioned that he had to build his foundation up 40 inches higher than the existing grade. I would point that that's one of the reasons that we are currently doing the flood study. I don't know this for a fact, but there is a requirement in Effingham County that if you build inside of the A zone, the flood zone, A zone, you have to build 36 inches above existing grade. If that zone becomes an AE zone, where you therefore know what the elevation is that FEMA requires as a 100-year flood zone, then you don't have to build 36 inches above grade. You have to build 12 inches above the flood zone. So those are two different things. I want to point out that setbacks are from the house to the property line, not the space between buildings. April, and I'm sorry, April, I missed your last name. I do think that she brings up a very valid point. We have not gotten to the design of the entrance to the subdivision either on Zittrier Road or on Midland Road. Right now, we're in a zoning hearing. Before we can go into design, we have to get the proper zoning, or therefore we don't start the design. Lot coverage was also mentioned by Ms. April. I think I understand what she's saying. Narrow lots, fill out the lots with houses, and you put one beside the other, and you don't have much room for the runoff to go. I want to point out again that there's a lot of green space, and way more than what the county requires. So this is not a max it out, build
How many
everything
lots
you
per
can.
acre?
That's 1,300 lots, currently planned at 454 acres, whatever that calculation comes out to be. I'm sorry, I don't know that number. 457 acres, sorry.
A little less than 3,
Yeah.
like 2.7 per acre.
And I think that, I don't know what R5 says, but I would imagine it's probably north of 4.
Speak up, we can't hear back to you, I'm sorry.
Me? Okay, sorry. I've never had that problem. So the green space is not a it's not a self-serving thing. The green space, it's not like that they have this green space because they have to and they can't use the land. It's kind of hard to see on the exhibit, but you do see two shades of green that are slightly different. One is called wetlands. We cannot go into those wetlands, or if we do, we have to impact those. Floodplains we can go into. You have to mitigate those floodplains, but you can build in them. So this is not a self-serving thing that they're doing. They're doing this for the community. It was mentioned by Michael Linick, I think, that while they might bring the water and sewer out to Midland Road, then the taxpayers are going to have to pay to get it to where it needs to go. That is incorrect. In my introduction, we mentioned that we had had several meetings with county staff, with the engineering staff. This developer will bring water down Midland Road from Blue Jay Road, tie into the property. They will also deliver the sewer via conveyance up Midland Road to new infrastructure that the county is already building, whether this development comes or not. Water quality, stormwater runoff, those kinds of things. I have state requirements. I have state laws I have to meet in design. Those things are universal. Effingham County exceeds those requirements. And before I can get a development permit, I have to prove that those things are done. I would just like to also add that the Board of Education is an elected body who determines what's needed for the school system, not the zoning board. I think that all things have to come into consideration, and I understand that, but the school board has their mechanisms for how they determine what the growth of the county is going to be and what the growth of the school system is going to be. And then to Mr. Kilmore, I know that he mentioned a canal and Corps of Engineers. I just wanted to repeat that we do have a jurisdictional determination already on this property that determines what state waters are and what wetlands are. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll take a couple quick questions. We're gonna have to keep it brief.
Just quickly, I was a math major in college. To do the actual calculation, you have to deduct all of the green space to be able to tell how many houses are actually going to be on the leftover acres. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'll be very quick. We've mentioned the approved water treatment facility. What is the time frame of that construction? I've been in underground construction, know all about it. What's the time frame of that versus the developments that are taking place? The D.R. Horton development at the end of Zitrower, the one that Stanley Martin Homes also owns at the end of Collick-Helmy, as well as any others that are already in the planning. So that should come first, as mentioned in this meeting. The proposers, again, I know they can't control the school board, but there's been no mention of what the school board is going to do for the schools, the buses, to keep children safe. And again, I've got 2 kids who went through this school district, love the Effingham School District, and we pride ourselves on it. This is not going to help the school district. Also, when I built my house, which again, I think my house is probably going to be one of the closest ones to this development, there's no historical floodplain data for that area. So that needs to be heavily considered. It's not a specific Zone A or Zone AE or anything else. It's no historical data. Took me months and months to get my house built. This needs to be heavily considered because, again, it's going to have a negative impact on the flooding of other properties.
Thank you. Please keep it brief.
My name is Hannah Jenkins. I own the property at 650 Zitrower Road, and all the considerations that have been given about infrastructure for water, sewer, and roads, nothing has been said to the infrastructure impact to the public safety in this area. The 2 fire stations that serve this area are unmanned. There's only 1 EMS unit and 1 deputy in patrol of this area. I would like to know that impact on public safety.
I just have 2 questions. Bridget Rasmussen. So twice there was mention of a traffic study and a flood plan study. We emailed your board, and Kimberly, you were great. You were very responsive. However, when we asked for the studies, we were told that they had not been submitted or potentially not had been conducted. So it's a bit hard for the community members to sit here and be worried and stressed about floodplains and traffic studies when we're being told that they've been completed and we have no access to them. We had access to the file that had all of these site plan information, referenced these studies, but we had no access to them. And so it's very hard as a community to come here and talk to you about this, knowing that we don't have all the information, and therefore potentially you don't have all the information. Thank you.
Thank you.
My apologies, Ms. Smith. Sorry about that, and fellers. Okay. I'm very familiar with how the water flows on the property, having managed the timber for 40 years. And, you know, to paint a broad brush stroke over it, you know, you've got to look at the particulars on the ground. So anyhow, sorry about that, Ms. Smith.
Thank you. All right, one more, then we'll cut it off.
Hey, I'm Derek Jenkins. So the canal that runs through there, the Corps of Engineers built in the early 70s, but it is not maintained by the county. It is not maintained by the Corps of Engineers anymore. When it rains, it floods. It floods our property. They can do whatever they want or what they're told they can do on their property, but they can't touch our property, nor can the county or the Corps of Engineers because the 20-year lease is up. So if they build theirs deeper and bigger, then it's going to dam up and flood us out. It's going to go under the road. What are we going to do? We are spending all of our money to rebuild our driveways constantly now. So when they put this in, it's going to make it worse. They're not looking at us down the street, under the road, and it's going to be a problem. I mean, it already is. So when they put that there, it's going to kill us. It's going to kill us down the road. It's already busted the dam at Highway 30 years ago. We're going to be in the same boat and worse.
Thank you. All right, we'll close it up and open it up to the board for questions or comments. We'll start with Ms. Smith.
I have a couple.
You can come on up, Mr. Chance. I'm sure we're going to probably wear you out here for a little bit.
Yes, sorry. So first question is, I have a lot of questions written down.
Go ahead.
So,
I'm ready.
But I'm just gonna let them ask some and
I
then
told
we
my
can,
wife I wasn't gonna be home for dinner tonight, so go ahead.
Yeah, you have a woman on the board, so you're definitely not going to. You know, women, we like to ask a lot of questions. All right, so one thing you said a second ago, so I'm gonna start with this one. You said before design, y'all are just needing zoning. Like, so this is obviously not your final design because you were talking about the entrance, but you have a concept.
Correct.
So if and we're just a recommending body, but if we were to recommend something, and then the commissioners, like, I'm just saying, like, our recommendation would be based on this concept
Right.
that's in front of us. I would hate to see something totally different. So that kind of scared me a little, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
So how much would this potentially change?
Well, I can tell you for certain that we've got the wetlands are done and the flood study is done. So we don't anticipate that it'll change. But do I say that this is a concept plan? Yes, it is. There's nothing been laid out in design, okay? So we don't have our water laid out, our sewer laid out, our storm drains laid out. So what would change? Well, we go through and lay these lots out just based on widths, but at some places we have to have easements that go down lot lines to get to ponds, to to empty the storm drains into the ponds. So there'll be places where I'll shift a lot line 10 feet. The overall intent is still the same, but how do we change phase one from 100 lots down to 80 lots? Then we have to make some changes in that. What we anticipate is maximum of the 1,300 lots, which is what's being requested. We would never come in and ask for more. If we do, we have to go through the process again. But if I move a road over 50 feet, I don't think that should change anything. We're not reducing any buffers.
Okay.
We're not adding any more than what we're asking for today. The road network is the same, but if I change the intersection a little bit, that's what I mean by it may change a little bit. What I meant by we haven't got into design is I don't have a survey along Midland Road yet, so it's kind of hard to look at what my site distances are and that kind of stuff to actually design a safe intersection for that. And we
Okay.
won't do that until we move to design.
Okay. I just didn't want to see all these like nice curvy roads and then a separate design
And
where.
then a grid?
Correct.
Yeah, got it.
Then the next question is, would y'all consider maybe larger buffers? Could you consider that
Well, I would say that
on
would.
this certain side, on certain sides?
Well, I'm not going to say we wouldn't consider it. I'm not going to throw that out at all. But what I would say is that the minimum is 50 feet, and on a lot of this, you got 500 feet.
So that's why
That's
I say
a
on
lot.
on certain sides.
So, I mean, I can't answer that question here. I would have to talk with can you give me a number of what you're thinking?
What do you expect the green space? Are you planning on clear cutting, select cutting? Even thought that through yet?
Not really. Most of it's going to remain natural, and it will be preserved areas. The way that we're going to be able to do that is we're going to offer pocket amenity areas. That's what those little purple dots are within the layout. So you're going to have pocket parks, places where those kids on that block can get together, where you can have an event for that part of the neighborhood. But then leave most of those larger green space areas natural.
Okay, the next thing, the park area that is being donated to the county, is what I'm gathering.
Yes.
Is the county responsible for the maintenance of this afterwards?
Once they receive it and build their infrastructure, yes.
Is there gonna be like an HOA for this community? Is the developer doing that?
There will be an HOA for the community, but the park is not a part of the community.
So that's what okay, so then that's.
The park is the county's. So the county seems to say that they need more park spaces.
Mhm.
They need more rec spaces. This was a place that came up as a potential location.
Okay, and the county is liking that idea?
That was part of one of the conditions, so the park will be dedicated to Effingham County, and it would be, just as indicated on the concept plan, it's up to county approval, it's subject to county approval.
Okay, I'm just thinking like that's more county maintenance, more.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Which will require more entrances and exits and kids being on that road, on both Zitrower and Midland.
Please keep your comments down. Anything else, Ms. Smith?
I'm sure will have more. Y'all probably have some.
We can go down the line and then come back to
I
you.
was gonna say, I'm sure we all kind of will think of more as people ask more questions.
I will
but-
say, living in the south end of the county, that we are in dire need of parks, so I do appreciate y'all working with the county on that. We definitely need something. We've been going over, my family to the new park on Courthouse, and it's very nice, so I would love to see something like this on our end of the county, hopefully multiples. But very nice. Mr. Kessler?
Yeah, I've got several things, and let me just run through them. That mine aren't real long questions, they're just kind of like statements or concerns I have, and then you can address them if you feel like you need to or not.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
whatever. I will start off with this, though. I mean, if the houses are drawn and shown like they look really nice in the drawing. I mean, they really do. So that looks really nice. I'm always leery of certain studies and you know, because you can always do a study to get the input or get the results you want to a certain degree. So I'm not saying they're wrong or right, because I don't know. I'm not a traffic guy. I'm not a flood guy. I'm not any of that, okay? I'm a CPA. So one of my concerns, as always, is it says it won't really create traffic problems, but we already have traffic problems in this county. I know the roundabouts are supposed to help, but as we build more and more, that's going to become worse and worse. And I don't know what peak time means, but if there's 1,300 homes in here, I'm guessing there's got to be at least 2,600 cars. And like I said, I don't know what peak is. I don't know if that's rush hour going and coming back to work or picking up kids. I don't know. So that's always a concern I have. I look at this when it was talking about the flood zones and all that. And again, I'm not a flood guy, but it looks like the property is like 70% wet. Or
No, sir. That green does not mean it's wet. And if I could approach, I can show you what the wetlands are versus what the green.
Okay. Well, let me get through these,
Okay.
and then you'll have other things
Okay.
to correct me on, I'm sure. Like, and with the school stuff, and I know right now we're not overcrowded. I mean, according to a report we got, I think there's like 3,300 spots that we can still put kids in. But I think we've got like 5,000 plus pads that have already been approved to be built on. And I don't know how many kids people have anymore, 1.5, 2, but, you know, 7,500, 10,000 more kids. I don't know where we're going to put them, let alone what this is doing, you know, if approved. So that would be a concern of mine. And the other is just all the infrastructure costs that might go with this is like, you know, how many more cops are going to have? How many more, you know, fire stations? How many more ambulances? Do we have to get a new hospital? Do we, you know, how are we going to pay for that? So those are just questions that I have as a taxpayer. And on the zoning board is, what are we doing going forward to protect this area and the county? So, I mean, that's all I've got, so.
So I do. So I do want to, in fairness, you're an accountant, I'm not. I'm an engineer, you're not, and you said we could make studies to say anything we want to. Well, I'm going to lose my license if I do that.
I don't mean like that. I mean,
But-
I've done studies where you try to get to result. I'm not saying lying, but.
Well, but I mean, that could be done in any practice, right?
True.
As an
I agree.
accountant, I can cook the books.
I agree.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
if I do that, then I'm putting my 25-year reputation on the line, as well as the 70-year reputation of the company that I work for on
Yeah.
the line, as well as all the
And I'm not
companies.
saying any of that.
So I do believe in the validity of the studies. I do. And in fact, the studies actually pointed out 2 intersections that the county needs to fix now. And we told the county that. With whether this development comes or not, there are 2 that need to be fixed now. They're performing at a level of service E or F. So the study showed E or F. That's basically how you grade it, A through F, level of service.
A's good and
A's good, F's
F's
bad.
bad. Okay.
E needs replacing, F's beyond replacing, needs a lot
Okay.
more work. So there were actually 2 intersections that the study showed that for. I don't think we said that the traffic wouldn't be a problem. I think that we said we would have to mitigate for it. So there are mitigations. There are at Zittriah Road and Noel Conaway, Zittriah Road at Midland, Blue Jay at 17, Noel Conaway at 17. There are 5 different intersections that are outlined that have to have improvements done to them, whether it's a slip lane at the new roundabout, whether it's a new turn lane to go north on the 17. There are several things that are pointed out. The traffic study is done. The traffic study is complete. The traffic study has been submitted to the county. The traffic study actually went in to CRC as well. And then I totally get what you're saying. Look, I live in Bullitt County now. We have a lot of development going on there too. But new homes does mean new taxpayers. So how do we pay for the fire departments and to this and to that? You get the new homes, they pay more taxes, and you get more to contribute to it. So as far as the county investing any dollars into infrastructure associated with this project, there has been no request made for any public-private partnership whatsoever. Water and sewer completely extended by the developer. All the road improvements that are needed for the plans to be approved, all be paid by the developer.
Mm-hmm. What does mitigation mean on roads from a layman's?
All right, so if I've got 100 vehicles going through there now and then 110 make it worse, how do I make it better? Do I add a right turn lane? That mitigation, it mitigates the impacts.
Trying to feed off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you go back and show me?
The wetlands?
Yeah,
Show them the flood zones too.
So that's up there, so I don't know where that's at in the thing.
Well, you see that different color right there?
Okay.
That's the wetlands.
That's wetlands.
Yes, sir.
And this is just green?
A lot of that middle part is floodplain, but not all of it. That's where the vast part of the floodplain that lies on this property, and some of it's down here. That wetland right there, and there's a wetland right there. That's the only 2 wetlands on the property. It is not the vast amount.
Okay. So, because I don't know, what's the wetlands I know?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you say floodplain, is that like the 100-year thing?
Yeah, yes, it can be, or it can be even a 500-year floodplain. There are, mainly in Effingham County, there are 2 different floodplains we are concerned with. One is an A zone, and one is an AE zone. Both of them are in reference to the 100-year floodplain. A means that there is no elevation assigned to it, okay? AE means that there's an elevation assigned to it. So for example, right now, these flood zones are currently A. Once this study is approved, everyone who lives in this area will have an elevation that is determined by the floodplain. So right now, you may be paying flood insurance that you don't have to, or perhaps you can get an elevation certificate once the study gets approved by FEMA that says you can reduce your premium. So that actually could be a side effect benefit.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Boykin. I got a lot, so I'll come back.
Okay, all right. Well, I have a few things. So, this is a common question. 1,300 homes get built. Hurricane Deborah comes through. And this floods, obviously it will, because most of it's low already. And it pushes water out on everyone else. Who's on the hook for that? The homeowners? Then the developer or the county? Because whenever y'all are finished with it, you wash your hands with it, you're done. Made your money, you're gone. I'm just stating, so say in the middle of development, this happens. Would y'all be on the hook for that?
I don't necessarily know that I understand your question.
Okay, so you displace,
Oh, I will answer it. I will answer it.
So-
Okay, it depends. Is it the 100-year flood
well,
zone? Is
I'm
it
just
the
saying, if
requirements
you
of the
displace
county?
all this water, right?
I'm not
in-
displacing
in-
any water.
In your ponds, your makeup ponds and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
That water's, it'll be there constantly, flood or not, right?
Yes, but we're getting into the weeds. I can say that say for a pond, for instance, if I put a pond there to handle the stormwater, I have a certain volume that is not occupied by static water levels
Right.
that I use to release that water over time. So if I create more impervious space in the development, then I have to have a volume that I can handle that amount of water in accordance with the county requirements so that I can release that water over time. And yes, the intent, and I don't get approval until I submit our information to the county and for erosion control to the state, I cannot release any more water from this site than what I am currently releasing.
Right.
I have to prove that. That is part of what we have to go through with the design process. So I would not say that we are releasing more water. I am not saying that we will release it at a higher rate. I am not saying that if a hurricane comes through and dumps 20 inches of rain in a 12-hour period, whether this development is there or not, that causes an issue. So I can't just say that no matter if any hurricane comes through here, that we'll design for it. That's not realistic, nor is anything else around here designed for that, anywhere. But what I can say, that it will be designed in accordance with the ordinance of the county.
Right. Okay.
Hey, real quick, do you know where the outflows is gonna be at?
Yeah, mostly to the east.
To the east?
Yeah.
So that would be back to the.
They'll cross under Midland Road. There's a pretty big draw that comes through there.
Gotcha.
Right, just back to the water, I mean, the whole property is timber currently, right? And we all know timber, trees draw water, and that affects, and I've seen it, anyone here who's spent time in the woods has seen how timber affects your groundwater.
Yep.
And so when you cut out, I don't know what your acreage is on your homes and your green space, your roads, your ponds, and everything else. Take that water draw off the property. So, and I'm sure that probably goes into your hydrology report. I would hope,
Yes, it does.
because I'm sure probably a lot smarter
does.
people doing it than me.
It changes you have to factor in how much actually soaks into the ground, abstraction, how much actually goes into the ground. So you change it from the time that when you take timber off of it and you take the organic matter off of it and you put rooftops on it, then you pick up a big increase in water runoff that you have to account for.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. So, and that's what I'm getting at is we're dealing with a lot more water, and you're supposed to put out as much when it's finished as you do now. It just doesn't seem possible. But like I said, I'm not an expert. Just looking at it from the outside in. Second thing, I see y'all have a plan for a 3,122 square foot house on here. How do you know what kind of dimensions that is on a 55-foot?
They're not all 55-foot lots. So the 55 means that is the minimum width.
That's the minimum.
Yeah, so they can be larger than that, yes.
Okay.
Do you, since he is the developer, he or she, I don't know who they are. Since they are so open to green space, would they be open to larger lot sizes? And less lots?
So larger lot sizes actually works, if we were to make larger lots and so let me make sure, larger lots and less lots.
Or by whichever way.
You know, you could, according to the ordinance, you could put double the number of lots on here, according to the ordinance. So they're significantly less than what the ordinance allows. So they're already starting a lot lower.
My thought is just have more space between the homes versus a 12-foot space between the homes?
The economies have to work somehow. So if you put more space between the homes, you have to still put in the same amount of lots. The wider you make a lot, the more you raise the cost. Every foot of road that gets built costs about $750 a foot. So if I make that lot 10 feet wider, I've just made that lot cost go up in development costs 7,500 feet. That's not because the developer's trying to make money. That's because that's asphalt, that's rock, that's curb and gutter, that's water, that's sewer, that's sidewalk, that's grading, that's mucking, that's everything that goes into that foot of road. So every foot that I make that lot wider, I increase the lot cost by $750. So if we want affordable housing and we want bigger lots,
So
they work
get you back.
against each other a little bit.
let's be realistic. To me, disagree. Affordable housing is a word we should all take out of our vocabulary because, unless you are building a townhouse, a stick-built residential house is going to be $300,000 or more. It's a reality, and to afford, you know this as well as I do, and you know this, to afford a $300,000 house. That's the reality of it. That's reality. So we might as well, to try to sell this as affordable housing, that's not something to sell. That's not.
I didn't sell that. I said that that's what people have come up and said, that we need more affordable housing. Yet when you say that we need more affordable housing and you want to make the lots wider, you automatically increase the value of the dirt that the house is going on. This was not proclaimed to be an affordable housing neighborhood. This is a neighborhood.
I think the R5 ordinance is 6,000 square feet per lot, so that's right at 7 or just under 7 lots per acre, and I think we said you was just under 3
2.8
on the overall of the acreage. Now, you could use more green space because you're at 30, I got it written somewhere, 33% you have and can go down to 25, so you could add more lots, if desired. All right, Mr. Boykin?
Parking.
Yes, sir.
Reason I ask is you got most of them 2-car garage, fits car, and then short driveway. If you're 10 foot off, say 10 to 15 foot driveway, more than likely, maybe fit 3 cars. We've all been in neighborhoods like this before and seen lots of street parking. Could you address that? Is there auxiliary parking?
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of
You just
auxiliary.
can't see it.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
Do you see that right there?
Yes.
All right, and then up at the top, you see all the places that kind of look like that? That's what that is.
Okay.
So it's visitor parking, and so you don't have parking on the streets.
Right. Gotcha.
So in front of the house, so what's the buffer from the road to the house?
The buffer from the road to the house?
Setback's 10 feet.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 10-foot long driveway.
Well, that's the minimum's 10 feet.
Minimum.
If the lot size is bigger than, or the house is smaller, then it could be further.
I would assume you'll probably be 20 feet to fit a
Probably,
car on the
yes, sir.
driveway, right?
Yes, well, but you also have to think that that's from the right-of-way line. That's not from the road. So on most roads in Effingham County, you have a 60-foot right-of-way. That's a requirement. You also have 27 feet back-to-back. You have about 16 and a half feet of grass inside the right-of-way. Plus, you have a setback from the right-of-way line to the house.
Okay. And then would y'all be open to the idea of conditioning where it's like you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then you said that there was certain areas that needed improvements for the traffic study?
Oh, yeah, there are intersections off-site that need
Correct.
corrections, yes.
So, but those are all going to be impacted when you add this many vehicles?
Yes. yes.
So until those are improved, are there plans for those to,
Yeah, there's actually, one thing we need to refine on the study is like how many homes is it that triggers those impacts need to be done so that we can make sure that those are mitigated before we hit that point.
So is there a way you could come up with information that would trigger, this is where it is currently, I don't know if you have that data with you. This is where we are currently. Once you add this many homes, it's gonna need to be at this point. Once we add this many homes, we need to be at this point, because, but what I was going to suggest is condition it where you have, or potentially, phase 1, you have X number of houses, phase 2, Y, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But until this is finished, until this intersection is, do you see what I'm saying? Like, until.
I think,
Yeah.
let me
Are
try
we
to.
on tracking?
Ms. Smith, yes, but I would just like to also mention that this also has to deal with the county engineering as well as GDOT. So there's more than just one party
Correct,
that's
so
incorporated.
they'd have to all, like, they'd have to be agreeable to.
But so does the county, so there's kind of,
I have to
and
get-
GDOT as well. So
But
having a condition where only one part.
I see, I know, but you're adding a lot of cars to, so I feel like they'd have to all be agreeable, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Well, we agree to make the improvements.
Okay.
That the report says, and that was one of the conditions, I think.
It
So
was, yes,
we
sir.
have to, if your recommendation, if it were to be favorable tonight, it would probably also include the staff recommendations, which I think they had 5 conditions. And one of those conditions was that we have to make the improvements that are mentioned in the traffic study.
Okay.
And there are 2 of those intersections that currently fail today, which the county is already planning on improving. So they may be done before we get there, we don't know. But then there are others that we have to do that are only caused by our development. Those are the ones that we have to do 100%. The other 2, we've got to figure out something with the county because they're already broken, right? County, are you going to fix this now or do we do it for you? How does that work? But we have to agree that those things have to be done before we can develop these phases.
And can it be conditioned, so I don't even know if this is something that's possible, where the next section of homes can't begin until those things are done?
We'll probably have to have a development agreement with the county, with the county engineer, Jonathan, who handles the transportation. That it gives us certain milestones at which those have to be done. Because the traffic study is going to tell you, once you break it down like per 50 lots or 100 lots, at this point, you have to have this done. So at that point, then we wouldn't get an approval from county engineer, but we don't come back to P&Z and we don't go back to commission for that.
Okay.
That's a staff level thing.
Yes, ma'am, and it also, all of that goes on throughout the development review process. So if they're doing it phase by phase, nothing gets released until those things have been addressed. So it gets held up until they get
All right.
things situated.
And we are going to go in phases. You cannot put this many units on the ground.
I figured,
So
but-
this is a 10-plus year project. This is not, you're not going to put this many homes. I mean, you're looking at 75 to 125 per year.
In the next 5 years, how many would you look at?
So we're probably not going to have a house up for 24 months. That's number one. And somebody asked about the new water treatment plant, the wastewater plant. The wastewater plant's going to be complete this year. I think the water treatment plant's like a 30 or 36-month build on it that the county's building. We're 24 months out from having a resident, the first resident. And then I think you could look at a reasonable, maybe 100 average. So you're looking at probably having 500 in 7 years. You're probably looking at having about 300 in 5 years. I mean, this is going to take a long time for us to even get it ready. So I would say 2 years before your first resident moves in. Is that fair?
Have to go very well.
Do you have any more questions, Mr. Boykin?
Yeah, most of mine was on timeline, and y'all just kind of got touched on that, so.
Yeah, I think we're pushing for 75 to 125 per
Yeah,
phase.
so if you got approval as you're expecting now, when would you expect to start site prep? You know, if you
We-
could lay out the whole project timeline, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, so we haven't even surveyed all the property yet. We've only surveyed what we had to survey so far. So there are several things that have to happen as far as, you know, obtaining ownership of the property, final ownership of the property, then we have to survey it. We're probably 9 months out from even submitting something to the county. The permit process takes about 3 to 4 months right now, not necessarily the county, but the state. So right there, you're at 12 to 13 months, and this is at least a 12-month build on the first phase. So that's kind of how I came up with 24 months of, first resident. Then we would proceed to probably, as soon as construction stops on phase 1, you start on phase 2 so that you're on a 12-month cycle at that point.
Do you have an idea of what would be kind of a land clearing per phase? I mean,
Acres wise?
Yeah.
My best guess is going to be anywhere from 25 to 40 acres per phase. The first couple of phases will be a little more because you want to incorporate some of the amenities and some of the larger ponds into them. But once we get into the development, you're probably looking at somewhere between 25 and 40 acres per phase.
Okay. And then you've touched on traffic study. Just want to be clear, the off-site improvements would be funded by this development?
Yeah,
the two that's already failing?
Unless it's already failing, that's right. Anything that we cause to fail would be funded by the developer.
Okay. And I know the park is getting donated to the county, or the land for the park, but is there any idea of what could fit there? I know that's the county's responsibility, but is there an idea of what could fit there?
Yeah, it's 15 acres. So if you think of McCall Park, it's a lot bigger than that. We have laid out like 2 baseball fields and a multi-purpose field that could be shared across the 2 baseball fields. You could also have a building and some tennis courts. We just tried to play with it to see what would fit.
Yeah.
We showed it to the county and they were like, yeah, that's enough room for us to be able to put something there.
Okay. Park is always a concern. I think you addressed that. Do you have an idea of, is there a minimum of how many spots per house there has to be or anything like that? Or?
Well, the county doesn't require anything. So there's no spaces required for, let's call it overflow visitor parking. That is something that the developer added in. I would say that you probably have about maybe 1 space per 4 homes is what you kind of have as extra. And that's a guess.
Okay. And I know just in general, this part of the county is kind of halfway in between the Geech River and Savannah River, and there's not a lot of flow. But you said the flow is going
east,
which is trying to
Midland.
Yeah, north it and up on
That's
the map,
kind of
so.
yeah. It's kind of northeast a little bit, and then it flows back down.
Okay, so it's not split. All the flow it goes all the way to one side.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the green space. I mean, the big area along Zitterauer, and that's just
Trying to leave that as natural as possible to provide a little bit of a buffer.
Will there be any extra protection on those areas or anything like that? Or
Added?
Yeah.
No, sir. Not anticipated at this point.
That's 50 feet, right?
No, that's a lot more on Zitterauer. I mean, the yellow indicates 50 feet, so you can see how much wider. You see the yellow border around it?
Yeah, I think I was talking about more the west, I guess the southwest corner.
Oh.
I think that would be right at 50 up to the backyards.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. So quite a few. I think we already hit the buffers in the trees, the water runoff. Time for permits, 2 years. There again, we are only rezoning. We're not, design on this. That'll come back for the commissioners at a later level. The canal that runs through there, I am familiar with that canal. I've hunted and grown up here my whole life. Mr. Chance, what's the rerouting of the canal? I guess it would just go from detention pond to detention pond and flow back through?
No, we're trying to avoid it as much as possible. We have a couple of road crossings that have to be made. We also have one of the roads where the canal does cross the road where we're going to have to leave a gap for the lots so that we can leave that as unaffected as possible. And then we have to run our calcs to make sure that we're not slowing down the water when we do cross the road. So whatever structure we have to put in there, we'll have to accommodate that.
Gotcha. And you'd pipe it if you had to?
Yeah, it'd probably be box culverts, to be honest with you.
A few other things. So the traffic study, we've got some reports back from GDOT on the traffic. I do agree it's going to increase traffic, but we do appreciate you guys, looking forward into mitigating it. Green space, we are at a lower percentage, or you're giving more green space than required. Let's see what else we have here. So the peak hours of traffic, 6 to 8 a.m. and then 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Other than that, you can pretty much get anywhere in and out the county that you want. The volume, based on the reports we got, hasn't really changed since 2020, so it's kind of maintaining. One question, would you guys be open if it was to be approved for a condition of 100 houses per year?
I honestly think we're probably going to be around that. Here's what hurts on that is when you need that 101st house. So I think that I would rather it be more of a range, and then we say after 3 or 4 years that we have a continuous aggregate of no more. And what I mean by that is if one year we finish up with 75, then why shouldn't we be able to do 125 if the number is 100? Does that make sense?
I understand.
So I would rather there be a discussion, and I guess ultimately you can make a recommendation on what you think the condition should be. That would give us time to assess it before it went to the commissioners, and perhaps we could have some rewording. So I don't think we're opposed to a condition of that. We need to think about it and digest it. I like a range more than I like a maximum, sorry.
Water and sewer, it doesn't seem like that's an issue with the water treatment facility that we have coming and the sewer that's coming both up to Blue Jay and Midland. I think that's all I have for you at the moment. Mr. Woods, I did say I'd let you comment on something you had. I will allow you to come back up for just a brief comment.
Yeah, very brief. I just want to say that I think you asked a legitimate question about the watershed. And if you look at this picture, you look at due east, that's my lot right there. You look at that arrow, due east goes directly on my property. I got the narrowest buffer of this entire plan. So is there going to be a ditch? Is there going to be anything to redirect that water to ensure it does not come on my land? Because based on exactly what the engineer is stating, based on that plan, I'm probably, other than Dana, I'm the most vulnerable of all of us. And I did not hear a legitimate answer to your question about heavy rainfalls and storms. I think it was a great question. Also, there was a workaround for if we use bigger lot sizes. I think that was also a great compromise. Okay, the asphalt's not gonna change, the road's a road, so that cost will not increase just by increasing lot sizes. You pour a little bit more curb between the houses, but you're doing less driveways. Concrete's concrete. So I think that the board has done a great job at offering some compromises here, and we appreciate that, but I don't think that we got the answer that we should have received in terms of compromise.
Thank you. So I believe based on the EPD, there can't be any water runoff on other properties. You would have to put drainage and swells protecting other residences. I'm no professional at it either. Do y'all have any more questions?
How big's Baker Park, acreage size?
Baker Park?
6 acres.
6?
Yeah. Tom Trimplet's 200 for reference.
Is that correct? Baker Park's 6 acres? I think it's well more than that.
More than that.
I have to pull it
It's
up.
just a question.
All right, discussion amongst the board. I'll start it off. If this is to be approved, I would like to see a condition in place. My thought was 75 to 100 lots per year, but I do understand if you build 75, the next year 100, you could make up the difference. Based on traffic, the county is currently working on roundabouts and getting the traffic flowing a lot more stable, I believe. Schools, we've got a report that is enrollment numbers as of March 9th, 2026 from the school board. The capacity is 17,370 And right now, the current enrollment is 14,317. I did, most likely this neighborhood would be going to Creekside Elementary. So there is mostly capacity throughout most of the schools. Guyton is at capacity and Springfield Elementary is over capacity. Just a little bit of data on building permits, kind of where the county's been, and this is a lot of questions that I get is why I'm bringing these up. Over the last, I'll give you 5 years on building permits where we were. Over the last 10, this year is, 2025 was the lowest that it's been in 10 years in building permits. So building with inflation has drastically slowed down. 2020 was 434, 621. 22 was right at 400. 23 was 660, 524. Now 288 in 2025. So that's slowed down tremendously. I believe that's dropped the capacity of the schools as well a little bit. I believe that's about all I have. Whoever makes a motion, I would strongly suggest a few conditions in place if need. Any more discussion amongst the board? Lindsay? Neil?
Are you asking me for?
If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Cratchit, can I add one thing, please? Sorry to interrupt. Bradley Brooks. One thing I've noticed, they've said that an HOA will be taking over the buffered zones. There is nothing that has been said if a management company buys out the HOA at any point, that they still have to abide by what the original rules are set for in the buffer. It's currently numerous subdivisions where you see one person has a shed, one person doesn't, because one company allowed it, one person didn't. At least like a contingency in that. And along with the buffer, every time the 50-foot buffer got brought up, he wanted to reference, 600 feet in other places. We have residential homes that are taking the 50-foot buffer along what they called the golf course. If this gentleman said moving a road 50 feet doesn't make a difference, then why can't we make any residential current property a 100-foot buffer instead of the 50 feet proposed?
I appreciate it. Public hearing's closed, but I appreciate it. We'll definitely keep it in mind.
Name.
On anything moving forward.
I think he did.
Name, I'm sorry?
I think you said it.
Bradley Brooks.
Bradley Brooks. We'll entertain a motion. Don't everybody jump so soon?
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so I think, being there's 6,000 approved homes already in this county that are approved to be built, and obviously more coming. And we do need homes in the south end of the county because there's so many people. But right now, and even if it does take 10 years, between now and 10 years, that's 6,000 now. There's more that's going to be approved between now and 10 years when this development's finished. The infrastructure cannot handle it. I've lived over there. A lot of people have lived over there and have to fight this traffic every single day. It's horrible. I think it's ahead of its time for a community of this size in that area. So I will move for a motion to deny.
I have a motion for denial. Any seconds?
I'll make a second.
I got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Motion carries.
Yes.
We'll take a brief 5 minutes, kind of clear everything out, and we'll start on public hearing number 2. All right, we're going to get the meeting back going, everyone, if we can come back to order. All right, next item, public hearing number 2, Jose Manuel Navarro Hernandez, request to rezone plus or minus 5 acres from AR1 to AR2 to allow for permitted uses in AR2 located at 1100 Longbridge Road, 5th District, map number 445, parcel 19A. Anyone here in favor for? Please come up, and we were told you may want to postpone. If you want to move on through? Okay, anyone here in favor for the project, please step forward.
No, she's gonna.
I'm sorry, staff.
The applicant is requesting to rezone 5 acres from, excuse me, the applicant is requesting to rezone 5 acres from AR1 to AR2 with a minimum of 1 acre requirement. The existing zoning area, the property is currently zoned AR1, which requires a minimum lot size of 5 acres. The surrounding area is characterized primarily by agricultural residential land use and rural residential development. A review of the zoning map indicates the surrounding properties are predominantly zoned AR1 with some R1 residential zoning located to the south. Existing development in the area consists primarily of single-family homes on larger rural lots, wooded tracts, and agricultural uses, reflecting the rural character of the Long Bridge Road corridor. According to the Effingham County Tax Assessor's database, the property currently contains 1 mobile home, with the remainder of the tract consisting primarily of wooded land. The property is currently served by a private well and septic, which is typical for the rural residential development in this area. The review of the Effingham County GIS mapping system indicates no wetlands or floodplains are present on the property. The applicant is requesting the rezoning in order to subdivide the property into smaller residential tracts for family members. The concept plan submitted with the application illustrates the potential creation of 5 1-acre residential lots accessed from Longbridge Road. However, consultation with the Georgia Department of Public Health indicates that the proposed configuration may require adjustment during the subdivision review process due to septic suitability requirements and the need for a 60-foot access easement. The property is designated agricultural residential on the future land use map within the Effingham County 2020 through 2024 Joint Comprehensive Plan. This designation is intended to support agricultural uses and low-density rural residential development while maintaining the rural character of the area. The requested AR2 zoning classification would continue to support low-density residential development consistent with this designation. Staff evaluated the request based on the Effingham County zoning ordinance, surrounding areas, use patterns, infrastructure availability, and the comprehensive plan. While the concept plan illustrates 5 1-acre lots, the final lot configuration may need to be modified during the subdivision process in order to comply with the environmental health requirements for private well and septic system. Based on the surrounding development patterns and consistency with the comprehensive plan, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request from AR1 to AR2 subject to the following conditions. A 60-foot access easement shall be established to provide access to interior tracts created through subdivision of the property. Any subdivision of the property shall comply with the applicable Effingham County subdivision regulations. The final subdivision layout shall comply with all Georgia Department of Public Health Environment Health requirements for private well and septic system. And then clearing of wooded areas exceeding county threshold shall require approval of an LDA, the Land Disturbance Activity Permit, prior to land clearing.
Thank you. Sure. Yep.
For me, AR2, we're trying to go to 1 acre. Does the easement eat into their 1 acre, or does that count as a 1 acre? Is that still part of their 1 acre?
For planning and zoning, it's not, but for when it comes to the,
Septic and stuff it is.
that's something DPH would have to address with them, but I believe it is.
So we're
is
okay with the
excluded.
easement being in that 1 acre, but the sewer and water sewer thing might be another issue.
Yes, sir, that's why I placed it as a condition, because if it comes to that, they would be able to address it at that time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Anyone here in favor for the project, please come forward and state your name.
Yeah, I'm just here for my uncle.
Please speak in the microphone.
Sorry. My name is Juan Sanchez, and I'm here translating for my uncle Jose Navarro. So basically, the plan is he's just trying to separate his 5 acres into an acre for like family members. He has 2 daughters, parents, and a younger brother. So he's just trying to make it easier for them in a plan of future. They want to set a house or anything. He's just trying to get his property into divided spaces for any other family member. That's pretty much the plan.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Anyone else in favor, please come forward. Being there are none, anyone in opposition, please come forward.
How are y'all? Thank you for letting me speak. Kim Callahan or Kimberly Callahan. We own the property on the very back side. I think I'll try to look at the map part, but Jerry and I bought that property 38 years ago. We've been in that little cubby hole for all these years. My neighbors are sitting here with me, and all of us have owned this property for over 30 years. And the Deal property was right next to us, and it was deeded to the son, which he has now sold to these folks. I understand that there's a thing for his family members to use, which I don't believe, because he's already rented the trailer that's sitting on the property. He had it bought, turned around and turned it into rental property. We do not want to come down our driveway and see 5 of whatever sitting there, much less clear the land off. And the guy on the other side is not here tonight, but I think there was one of the children was sick or something was the reason. But I'm speaking on our behalf. We want to say no to this project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else in opposition?
Hello, my name is Brighton Rosenis. Thank you for allowing me to
I'm sorry,
speak.
one more time?
Brighton Rosenis.
Right.
So I've been in Effingham County now since I was a boy. I moved here in 7th grade, and I immediately fell in love with the culture of Effingham County. I'd never lived in an agricultural area before that, and I was delighted when my father moved me here so that I could pursue things like Future Farmers of America. And enjoying the rural lifestyle that I think many of us here have come to know and love. And besides my military service, I've been here as a full-time resident since then. Everyone who lives around me, we all speak. We're all friends and family members. On one side, I've got the Callahans behind me. They have an easement that gets back to their property from my property. I'm the house next door at 1134. You know, and when the last resident moved into that property and built a mobile home on it, nobody said anything because it was in line with the AR1 track, one house for larger properties. It was consistent with the zoning. You know, none of us got up here and had any complaints about that mobile home being put in there. My concern now is that I think that rezoning to AR2 would put a dense pocket of residential properties that's inconsistent with the other properties on that road. And my fear would be that the family homestead that I've purchased for my kids, you know, is gonna get pressured out. I'd like, when my kids go to school, I'd like them to be able to do FFA, raise livestock, have animals on the property. And my fear would be that not only is the infrastructure not there to support 5 more homes or 4 more homes, that was 5 more wells, 5 more septics. You know, is there enough space to even accommodate all of those drain fields? along with reserve drain fields. So, I would I would request that we deny this because it's inconsistent with the land use around there and the lifestyle that all of us have grown to enjoy. And, my fear would be that if it sets a precedent where we're rezoning to AR2 along this track, it opens up the door for more densely populated buildings, and it's only a matter of time before my dream of having animals and all of that starts to come into constant conflict with people who aren't here for the agricultural rural lifestyle. And, that would be really hard. That'd be a hard pill to swallow for me and my neighbors because that's why we're there. And I think that having a dense pocket of homes crammed into such a small, narrow space would be inconsistent with the land use, as well as the fact that there's barely any frontage. The lot next to me is almost exactly like mine, and my road frontage is barely 50 yards, 150 feet. As I understand it, it's supposed to be 150 foot of frontage per home unless there's a subdivision road built in. And that is as I understand it, that road has to support emergency vehicles, has to have a certain length and width. So, I haven't heard anything addressing any of those concerns. So it's just my 2 cents is that I think that, with that many wells and that many septic systems in such a small space, that it could cause problems for us as far as water use and, seriously change the dynamic or at least set the precedent for more homes to be subdivided. And I understand the county's growing. I know that we're under a lot of pressure for that. There's a few pockets of sections of neighborhoods that still maintain that close-knit family, friends, neighbors atmosphere. And I don't want to see the plot of land that I purchased in hopes that I could preserve, a homestead, a place to grow food, a place to raise livestock for my kids. It's hard. And, it's not exactly easy to find another place to do that. So that's my 2 cents. I hope you guys stay consistent with the zoning. I've felt pressure to rezone as well. I was told by people here in this building that because I'm grandfathered in and I'm a non-compliant AR1 property, and that I would be denied permits for building. I don't know how true that is. I didn't dive into it because I wasn't really pushing for a permit, and that's not the purpose of today's speech. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. I have concerns about the easement, the lines, the trees, and the precedent that it would set for our neighborhood.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I'm sorry, you triggered Bixby. I'm sorry.
Anyone else in opposition? A few more minutes.
Hey, I am Allison Brock. I own 27 acres, just the other side of Brighton, and beside Kim Callahan's property. For years, it was peaceful, quiet, nobody messed with our horses, we didn't have any issues, and then they built Ramsey Landing. Okay, Ramsey Landing, we have people now coming onto the property regularly. We don't have enough police officers to manage that. Literally, when they come out and I report them and I show them pictures, they're like, yeah, we can't do it. I really don't want 5 more homes going on with children kids are kids, they venture through the woods. They go through the woods. We shoot back on that property. We sight our guns. We practice shooting our bows and arrows, and it's become a risk with other people coming onto the property and no way to stop them. Cameras don't impact it. I'm voting that we keep it at the AR1 zoning with no changes, because that is exactly what we purchased, and that's exactly why I did purchase the property I had, so I didn't have people encroaching in and messing with the horses or other animals or whatever we have on the property. That's my vote, and I agree with everything they already brought forth for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? All right, being there are none, we will close the public hearing.
About rebuttal. Rebuttal?
Would you like to speak, anything in return to the comments?
Yes.
Glad y'all can keep me straight.
Keeping you in line, Jay.
Somebody's got to.
Diles que yo entiendo y respeto las opiniones de todo, pero en primera, la casa la estoy rentando porque tengo demasiada familia y no me puedo mover ahí. El primer punto.
He's saying that he respects each and every individual's opinion. He's saying that the reason he's renting right now the property is because he's living in another property. So he has to pay for that lot, some way make money to get that paying. And
Sí, es que yo ocupo de moverme, ocupo de meterle dinero a ese terreno.
he's saying he just got it 2 months ago, so he has to like invest money into it so he could try to do his plan. I mean, his concern is he's not trying to mess around with their property or anything. He's just trying to do on his part.
Gotcha, understood. So I believe we are not wanting to zone too many AR2s into this district. Now, this is just me speaking. Have you guys looked at a AR3, which is the new zoning, 2.5 acres per lot? So that would allow you 2 lots, but 2.5 acres per lot instead of 5 lots.
No, we actually didn't even look into it. We didn't know what we were actually coming into or prepared or anything. This was just like an idea, but I mean.
Would that be something you guys would want to look at
Yeah,
doing?
definitely.
And that would just
Definitely.
give you 2 lots. It wouldn't be 5, but it would be 2.5 acre lots. So
Dice que hay otro artículo, el número 3, que sería como que de 2.5, porque aquí en este distrito no están tratando de hacer cambios como que del artículo 1 al artículo 2, que sería como que la propiedad nomás la vas a poder dividir como por decir en 2 casas.
Sí, no, no lo sabía. Dile que yo entiendo todo esto, pero también los cambios son el proceso de un desarrollo. O sea, aquí se va a desarrollar. Yo entiendo que tengan grandes terrenos y no los quieran dividir, pero es un desarrollo y si no es hoy, es en 2 años, en 5 años, la ciudad va creciendo y va a crecer.
He's saying that he knows that y'all are not trying to do like changes like do 1, turn it into 5. What he's trying to say is that the city's gonna grow either way within time. So he's just trying to also grow his property.
so you'd rather keep it as is as they are too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you. Questions amongst the board?
That was the same thing I was hoping for.
I was going to suggest the same
AR3.
thing.
So it says the access is the
Close the
Microphone, Lindsay.
oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the unmarked road is the easement. Is how many properties is that easement already serving?
That's why the, yeah.
Okay.
So
So he's adding his own,
that was part of the condition. He would be required to
because
add
I
a
don't
60
see that
foot
on
easement.
any type of drawing.
See the hand drawn?
Oh, I see that. Okay, yeah, there. There, okay, sorry.
So Troy, you could probably.
Yeah, let me
reference-
elaborate on
Sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to speak on behind him.
But-
Can we say one more thing?
Give us just 1 second.
So does he understand, like, that his easement is probably gonna need to go down?
I don't even know what this is.
So I feel like the access is like looking like it's gonna go up the front. Do you see? And then it, like, he needs to like go, but Jake,
Looks
you
like
can
it's going
probably
through the
answer
middle of
this
the
better.
property.
Look-
Can you even have an easement with this many
Look,
on it?
I think Troy can answer a lot of these
Okay.
pretty quick based on the DPH.
Yeah, so I have experienced DPH, so they will have to have a 60-foot easement on his property running down somewhere on the property, most likely on one side or the other. It'll probably be parallel to that 30-foot easement. That 60-foot easement cannot count for each lot has to have 1 acre of soil suitable for septic. So that 60-foot in that cannot count for that. So there is no way this 5 acres will support 5 homes. At most, it will be 4. Because each lot that has its own well and its own septic has to have 1 acre of soil suitable for septic. So there's no way he will get 5. It will be 4 max. So he would have to do what's called a level 3 soil survey, go out there and map what areas are good for septic, what areas are not. Once he's got that, then he can try to figure out how to fit 1 acre on, 1 acre on each lot he's going to do. So more than likely it would be 3 to 4 lots, depending on the quality of the soils out there. And then, there's an existing house there now. Where's that house? Where's this drain field? Where's this well? All that's got to be fit onto that parcel that's there now. So I think probably 4 lots is probably a challenge. I would think 3, maybe 4 lots is probably what he's going to wind up with once he goes through that DPH process.
But definitely not 5.
No way 5.
And no soil testing has even been completed at this point.
Not that we're aware of.
Right. And that soil testing has to be done before the plat can ever be approved.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind the AR3, and we can give them the option to table it if they want one more time, or we can just go ahead and vote on it.
Which is better for them?
I mean, tabling it and do a AR3 would be better for them. What's the cutoff, 6 months?
He would, if it was tabled, it would have to be re-advertised if he switched to AR3, so that would start the process all over for him.
Correct, which would probably be 30, 45 days, and then if it gets denied, it's 6 months?
Yes, sir.
6 months. Can you come back up one more time, please, sir? So based on your drawing, you can't get 5 acres, 5 lots.
5 lots,
on
yeah.
this, because DPH won't allow it for the septic tank. So you would only get 3 or 4 lots. I don't know how the board's gonna vote, if they'll approve it or deny it. If you get denied tonight, then you can't do anything for 6 months. If you agree to table it, we can table it, and then you can reapply for AR3, which would only give you 2 lots.
Dice que si sigues con...
Commissioners. Commissioners.
Que se puede ser como de 3, 4...
Correct.
Pero que...
Let me rephrase that, I'm sorry. So if we deny it, it still goes to the Board of Commissioners on April 7th. If they deny it, then it would be, you couldn't do anything for 6 months on reapplying whatsoever.
Que si ellos lo niegan ahorita, van a tener que volver en abril 7, y luego si ellos lo vuelven a negar,
6 meses.
6 meses.
Dile que está bien si se puede 4 la ciudad o 3, lo que se puede está bien. Lo podemos hacer.
Yeah, he's saying he's not trying to do what was it,
Just 2 acres?
Yeah,
Or the-
but he understands if there's a max like of 3 or 4 acres, he understands that and he could work with that.
3 o 4 lotes.
3 or 4 lots.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. If no further, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to, can we ask for this to be tabled? Because I feel like I don't feel comfortable even really making a motion to approve or deny on this. Can we ask for this to be tabled? Because he doesn't really even know if he can do 2 acre lots or a 1 acre lot.
We can table it, but if we table it, it's just gonna come back to us
But can we ask
under the same condition.
For him to table it and come back with soil is what I was saying to see.
If we table it, does it go, it still goes to commissioners if we table it, right? It doesn't?
No.
Stops.
Because if he'd like to table it to see if there's even a full 2 acre, there's no reason to making a motion to approve it if he were to get a soil and there's only 1 acre of good soil.
Table it, get a soil study and a new survey
It's
with
kind
a
of-
sketch plan.
Right.
How much does that cost?
Well, he's gonna have to have the survey anyways to move forward.
$2,000.
But he'd have to have a survey anyways to
Full
file it
survey's
with the
gonna be
county.
They figure out what even is usable, so.
So you don't know if it's usable at all. You don't even know what you have at this point.
You said denied versus table. If you did, let it go to the commissioners.
That'd be best for them, probably, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion to deny, and, based on the fact that we don't have
Suitable data.
suitable data and information to know if what he wants to do is even an option.
I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, motion carries. So it did get denied, but you still go in front of the Board of Commissioners on April 7th. So make sure you attend that meeting and present the same case to them.
Better case.
Any recommendations that I would give you in the meantime, try to get a soil study done and maybe a better plat based on your soil. You have to have 1 acre of usable soil per lot, not including the right-of-way. All right, thank you. All right, moving on, public hearing number 3. Richie Dickey requests to rezone plus or minus 8.49 acres from AR1 to AR2 to allow for permitted uses in AR2, located at 4169 Georgia Highway 119 North, 3rd District, map parcel 405. Map number 405, parcel 26. Staff.
Yes, the applicant requests to rezone the property from AR1 to AR2. The property is currently zoned AR1, which requires a minimum lot size of 5 acres. The surrounding area along Highway 119 corridor is characterized primarily by agricultural residential land use and rural residential development. A review of the zoning map indicates that surrounding properties are predominantly zoned AR1 with R1 residential zoning located to the south. Existing development in the area consists primarily of single-family residence, pasture lands, and wooded tracts, reflecting the rural residential character of this portion of the county. The subject parcel contains 8.49 acres. According to the Effingham County Tax Assessor's database, the property currently includes 1 single-family residence and a 25 by 30-foot accessory structure. The property is accessed from Highway 119 North and is served by a private well and septic system, which is typical for rural residential development in this area. A review of the Effingham County GIS mapping system indicates no wetlands or floodplains located on the parcel. The applicant is requesting to rezone in order to subdivide the property to divide the tract amongst his heirs. The concept plan submitted with the application proposes the creation of 3 residential tracts, including a northern tract of approximately 4.25 acres, the southwest tract of approximately 2.24 acres, and the southeast tract of approximately 2 acres, which contains the existing residence. The applicant has indicated that the existing residence will remain and the future residence may be constructed on the northern portion of the property. Access to one of the proposed tracts would be provided through a property access easement. The subject parcel is designated agricultural on the future land use map within the Effingham County Comprehensive Plan. The agricultural designation is intended to support the agricultural activities, rural residential development, and large lot residential uses that maintain the rural character of the county. The requested rezoning to AR2 would continue to support low-density residential development within the rural setting while allowing the property to be subdivided amongst the heirs. Staff has reviewed the request based on the Effingham County zoning ordinance surrounding land use patterns, infrastructure availability, and the policies of Effingham County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed tract size meet and remain compatible with the surrounding agricultural residential development pattern. Based on the surrounding land use pattern and consistency with the future land use map, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request from AR1 to AR2, subject to the following conditions. The 60-foot wide easement access easement, be established and provided access to the interior tract created through the subdivision of the property. Any subdivision of the property shall comply with applicable Effingham County subdivision regulations. Development of the property shall comply with all environmental health department requirements for private well and septic system.
Thank you. Could you put the flume back up, please? Oh, never mind, you have it right here. You don't have it where it shows AR1, AR2.
The current.
This is the future land use map, so everything that you're seeing there is agricultural. Are you talking about, are you referring to the zoning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There we go.
There we go. All right, thank you. State your name, please, sir.
My name is Richard Dickey. All right, for one thing, we submitted a change after we submitted the original. So, in other words, we're not wanting to divide it into 3 parcels. We want to divide it into 2. One would be about 2 1/4 acres, and the other would be about 6 1/4 acres, and only one additional dwelling in the future. And the plan is to give it to my sons. One would get the house, one would get the other lot. Well, we're going to go ahead and give that to him. It's he and his wife are living with us right now, and when he's in town, he works out of town a lot. And the plan is that they would build a house there and be able to take care of us as we get closer to expiration. So I've got another drawing here, if that would be of any benefit to show
Sure,
you.
we can take a look at it. Same question I'll ask you that we asked the last. Would you be opposed to 2.5 acres on one lot?
That's what he's doing, yes, sir.
Okay, you
He's
said 2
saying-
1/4.
I said 2.
Yeah, we can make it 2.5. What is?
Good.
I'm trying to keep the barn, well, keep the shop, to go with this piece here.
Gotcha.
So that would be
So would we leave the additional as AR1 and just this one as AR2?
Based off of that, if
Well,
he's
AR2
gonna do.
based on this.
But he said he could make it 2.5, correct?
We can make it 2.5.
We can't change zoning.
If it gets changed to 2.5, it would need to be re-advertised.
Okay. Do y'all want to look at that? Or-
The only reason I originally had it free was.
I mean, if you look here, that's AR2 all around it from where people's done the same
Say
thing.
something goes sour, I wouldn't lose the area with the barn.
Yes, sir.
But we were gonna have to get a soil test and all that, when there's no plan to build a house on that.
Anyways, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was the reason for changing that.
Are you in any time constraints on this? Not really. So we've been trying not to do many AR2s on stuff like that, because then you could take a 5 acre lot and split it into 5 lots with AR2 zoning, because it's 1 acre minimum. So with you keeping the bigger acreage as AR1, I don't foresee an issue with it. And it's not my opinion, but it'd be up to you if you wanted to increase that to 2.5 acres, but you'd have to re-advertise, rezone for AR3 versus AR2.
What would be your advice? I mean, what?
Well, you have AR2 around it. I guess let's finish the public hearing quick, and then I'm sorry, we'll pull you back up on that. Anyone else in favor for? Being there or none, we'll close the public hearing. Anyone in opposition? All right, being there or none, staff. I'm sorry, board.
I guess staff. So I guess the reason, since it's been changed already, but the reason it doesn't need to be republicized is because it's not changing zoning distinction.
Correct.
It's
So
still
if
that
he-
one lot, instead of doing this, the 4, the 2, and the 2, the AR2, we're only going to do the 2.25, the AR1, and the AR2, and the rest remains AR1.
Correct.
But
So-
being that's being done, That's why we don't have to republicize it?
Yes, sir, because it's not a different zoning.
Right.
And so for him to keep the 2.25, the AR2 was actually, the intention was for a family subdivision,
Right.
which he qualified for because it would be for his son. So that part, it's covered, but it wouldn't need to be advertised, re-advertised unless it was being changed to an AR3.
Right, okay. All I'm trying to do is figure out how much of a headache it would be in, like,
Mr. Dickey, the way you're splitting it now, the bigger piece doesn't have a dwelling on it. There's just one dwelling that would stay on that smaller
Correct.
piece, right?
Correct. A dwelling would go on the bigger piece, sort of in the middle of the back, that pasture area.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no intent to do anything else with it, as long as I'm alive, anyway.
But you will need that soil test on that back piece before the county will ever approve the plat. The piece that doesn't have a home on it will need that soil test before the
Right.
plat can be officially signed off on, but that would be a little bit down the road.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any problem with that.
yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem in this situation, but we're setting precedents again and trying not to do the smaller acreage lots. In my opinion, if time constraint wasn't an issue, move it to AR3, re-advertise it, but I hate to pull you back down that road again, but I'm gonna leave it up to the board to either make a motion or a motion to table.
Would you be opposed as to reapplying to AR3 with a 2.5 acre lot? It would take more time. That's really it.
All right, time is not a huge issue. It's that another $250 or whatever. Or
He wouldn't have,
No.
yeah, you wouldn't have to repay.
I'll say they won't make you.
the time's not a problem, yeah. right,
If
okay.
y'all would do that, that would be great.
Okay.
Just because we're trying not to set the precedence of AR2 in the north side of the county.
Okay.
That's really what we're
I
getting.
appreciate that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so,
So if you want to, he would just withdraw his and then reapply with y'all?
Table it.
Table it? To what?
414.
Okay. Okay, all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna table it to April 14th, and then hopefully we can y'all can get all this situated, and then we can get everything good.
okay, between now and April 14th, I need to get back with them
Ye-
on what I
yes,
want?
sir.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, okay.
Ryan, can you make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to table it till April the 14th, and just get with staff and get it taken
Okay.
care of, and we'll appreciate it.
So we want to make that a 2.5 acre, not
Yes,
2
sir.
1/4, but 2.5.
Minimum.
Minimum of
Right,
2.5,
okay.
and they'll help you with that and lay it all out, and tell you what all you need.
All right, I don't want to attract any issues. The frontage line is 296 feet. Now, I've heard that mentioned earlier about 150 foot requirement on front borders or whatever.
Jennifer, do you know if that would require a variance also, or does he have enough in there?
He would be able to have that easement going. It depends on how he has it subdivided. So that's going to be the first part. So if he's going to come off the front and he almost has 300, it would just depend on how it's subdivided before we could make that determination.
They'll be able to help you with that.
Okay,
And that comment you're referring to didn't come from anybody up here. It come from out in the audience.
Right.
okay, all right,
Yeah, you're good.
all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank
So-
you.
Thank you. We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey.
Yep, appreciate it.
I don't envy your job.
Got me thinking.
All right, public hearing number 4. Teresa Burrows requests to rezone plus or minus 2.964 acres from AR1 to AR2 to allow for permitted uses in AR2 located at 211 Holly Lane, 5th District, map number 476, parcel 12. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from AR1 to AR2. The property is currently zoned AR1, which requires a minimum lot size of 5 acres. Because the property contains approximately 2.97 acres, it does not meet the minimum lot size requirement and therefore is considered a legal non-conforming lot underneath the current zoning classification. According to the Effingham County Tax Assessor's database, the property currently contains 2 mobile homes and is served by a private well and septic system. The applicant is requesting the rezoning in order to bring the parcel into conformity with the zoning ordinance and to allow the property to be subdivided into 2 residential tracts. The proposed subdivision would create Tract 1, approximately 1.292 acres, and Tract 2, approximately 1.672 acres. Both tracts would meet the minimum 1 acre lot size requirement of an AR2 zoning district. The surrounding area is characterized primarily by the agricultural residential land uses and rural residential development, with AR1 zoning predominantly in the area and light industrial zoning located to the south along Old Augusta Road corridor. The property is designated agricultural residential on the future land use map and is located within the development suburban node character area of the Effingham County Comprehensive Plan, which anticipates residential growth in areas with access to transportation corridors and infrastructure. Staff reviewed the request based on the zoning ordinance surrounding development pattern, infrastructure consideration, and the comprehensive plan. Based on the review, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request from AR1 to AR2, subject to the following condition. Any future subdivision of the property shall comply with all applicable Effingham County subdivision regulations and Environmental Health Department requirements for private well and septic system.
Thank you. Anyone here in favor for the rezoning, please step forward. Being there are none, anyone in opposition, please step forward. Being there are none, we'll close the public hearing.
Conformance issue.
Yeah, so already it's in non-conformance.
It is non-conforming, but they're just trying to subdivide as well. So with them having to subdivide, they would need to rezone, and it brings it into conformity.
And there's 2 dwellings already on the property, right?
Correct.
They are not trying to add a dwelling, they're just wanting to put 1 home on each piece.
Correct.
And both sides, all the way across, is AR2 already, right? It looked like it was.
Yeah, with industrial
Yes.
and AR1.
AR1, AR2. So later when that line's our AR2, except for them. Is that right? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Correct. The light green is AR2 already. They could do AR3 and keep it as 1, but having 2 dwellings on it, and I mean, I see the reason for wanting to
Yeah.
split it if they want to sell one and keep one or sell them both.
And there are AR2 there.
Yep.
Yeah, that whole line was probably one, just like the one next to it, at one time. Split off.
Got split up.
This is mainly cleaning up zoning.
Yeah.
All right. If no further, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, motion carries. All right, that will wrap it up. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm sorry, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Neil second.
Yeah.
All in favor, aye.
Aye?
Aye.
The longest one yet.
No, you missed the longest one.
I'll say, I don't think you were here.
Yeah,
for